Welcome to Fantavision. Please enjoy this fantastic journey.
That gets my heart pumping.
Fantavision is a real-time puzzle game that was developed and published by Sony Computer Entertainment and was released on the PS2 in October of 2000. A sort of tech demo that was turned into a launch title for Sony's new console, the reception for this one was sort of mixed, but it seems that nobody had anything terrible to say about it at the time. Now, just a moment ago I described this game as a real-time puzzle game, and to be honest I pulled that description from Wikipedia because I actually don't know what this game is and why it exists. Long story short, there are fireworks and you do your best to blow all of them up, but you probably want a little more information than that, so I'll go into greater detail. You have a handful of stages to play through and each one begins the same. A few fireworks shoot up into the sky, you use your analog stick to run your line across them and link them together, and then you hit the circle button to detonate. This sounds simple enough, but there are a few rules in place to make things increasingly hectic. In order to detonate, you have to have a minimum of 3 fireworks linked. If the fireworks are left alone for too long, it will count as a miss and your life bar will take a hit. Too many hits and game over.
Thank you for playing. See you again.
Now, you can't just link from one colour to the next. For example, you can link from orange to orange, but you can't just link to blue unless you link to a rainbow coloured firework first, so the trick is to try and build up as big of a chain as possible and detonate 12 fireworks or so for a bigger score. Because you're always looking to make the biggest chain possible, there is a risk versus reward element to the gameplay as your finger hovers over the detonate button for that extra moment as you wait to see if some more fireworks shoot up that you can link to at the last second. It does seem quite basic, but it can get difficult quite quickly. There isn't much else to the game other than the constant loop of firework puzzles until the camera has fully panned across the stage, and if you still have some life bar left, then the stage is complete and on to the next one. Actually, I take that back, there is more to this game than that. It also has incredibly strange cutscenes that feature these random kids in old-fashioned clothing. I can't think of a single reason as to how they're connected to this game, but hey, it looks like they had a good time on set, so who cares? Despite this being one of the strangest, most basic games I've played on this console, it's another one of those games that now falls into the bracket of I like it, but I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because once I got the hang of it, I started to feel more competent and put some impressive chains together. Maybe I just like fireworks. I mean, who doesn't? The point is, I'm not entirely sure. To be honest, this seems like perfect iPhone fodder to me, and I'm surprised nobody has cloned this thing and brought it to the smartphone market. This is one of those games that is very hard to make a video on because there is such a lack of content that showing you anything past the 3rd stage would probably be considered spoiler territory, even though the game doesn't have a story. The initial stage areas start out in a place you'd expect fireworks, on the coast of some big city at night time. However, it isn't long at all before you leave Earth and you're detonating fireworks in space. No idea why, but it sure does look magical. Once again, I'm left with a game in which I don't have a lot to comment on. There is some minimal voice work, but it's hardly worth critiquing, and the generic dance soundtrack that backs up your firework displays is pretty much the definition of launch title game in the early 2000s.
9 chains.
The city that you float past during each stage does provide a decent backdrop, and the same could be said about the outer space settings too, but at the same time, when the camera is this zoomed out, I guess you don't have to add much detail to make the skyline look impressive. Fantavision is one of the hardest games I've ever had to review, and this is mainly because you could consider it a glorified minigame. I'm not sure if this was sold for full price at the PS2's launch, but if it was and you bought it, well, you have my sympathies. On the bright side, 19 years later, this game can be picked up for pennies, so its shortcomings are less of a sting today. Overall, I'm just a bit confused by it all. I'm confused as to why this wasn't just a demo included with every PS2, I'm confused at the fact that it doesn't have more stages, and I'm very confused by these children. Is it a fun time? Yes, sort of. It has its moments, but I can't imagine you'd get much more than 2 or 3 hours out of it, but I guess at least you can't say that it isn't unique.